So we are proceeding with the video on the administration, or the series on the administration center, and in this video we will proceed to look at the details of the environment. And in the previous video we basically looked at how to create a database export, and being able to, after creating a database export, you can be able to view the export history of your particular database. When was it exported, the period. It seems to be quite a long time ago because the recording here, and if I filter, okay, so the latest export was done as at March 15th, there, around there, and we were able to restore this database export back into our local SQL database by importing a data tier application, the backpack file that we are able to export. We imported it back.
Ni Tech na Msangi ya jishinde.com.
So when you just go to the environments, when you're here, still you can be able to refresh, look at environment transfer, and see recently deleted environments. And of course, the message center will be showing you messages that are supposed to be read, maybe new updates from Microsoft that you should be keen on. From the environment, one thing that we can be able to do after looking at the export, there's something that we skipped here, and this is in the form of sessions. And it's very key that you're able to either stop a session. There is no one who is logged in at the moment, but if someone logs in, it will be displayed here, and you can see the details of the session and be able to restart this particular environment from this point of view. Okay, so that's the sessions. Going back to the environment, you can also be able to raise a new support request, which will take you to the Power Platform Admin Center, and be able to create your request, specify the environment that is at hand, of course, by after selecting the product. And okay, this is self-explanatory, and you, by just clicking here, you'll be able to see what is available there. In the environment, you're able to still report a production outage, and this could be an example where maybe you cannot access an API or a web service, and the users are unable to log in. Nobody is able to access the system. So this is the point where you're able to report a production outage. And so you fill out the form below to report an outage, and so it should be used if you're experiencing an outage on a production environment that cannot be mitigated by restarting the environment. And you have seen that you're able to restart the environment in the sessions tab. All right, so you're able to report a production outage. Within the support, right away, nowadays you have the ability, which is a recent update, to be able to manage the applications that are available in the environment. And you can see we have the different application types. We have the global applications, pertinent extensions, and dev extensions. So you select whichever application, and you are able to select or uninstall. You have like the available update action or available uninstall action, which was recently added to enable you to be able to uninstall an app or update an app respectively based on the available the available version or available update. And if it is an application from the app source, it's always advisable to update it in a sandbox first, test it, confirm, and before you do the same or you do the update now to your production environment. But at least now it's giving more powers to the administrator in terms of being able to manage the environment much better. So within the environment, you can select an update window. Remember, this is the time of the day when updates may be applied to the environment. And during the update, the environment will not be available. So this is very keen to remember that it won't be available. And it should ideally occur outside working hours, and definitely you select based off your time zone. You're able to select the time that you want it to start. Maybe you're saying my update should only start at 11:30 p.m. to 4 a.m., for example. Okay, it should be at least 6 hours. So 5, okay, 6:30. Okay, so here I can say maybe 10:30 or 10 p.m. to 5 so it doesn't mean that it will actually use or or take that whole time to be able to update, but this is a time that you set, and outside working hours where updates should occur. So you within 6 hours period, and ideally this is up to you based on your time. And so I don't have any update to this environment. In the update settings, you can still set an update date. And if I go to this environment, BC Dev, that has got, this is a sandbox environment that has got the ability to be able to set an update date, because I do have an update that is available to this version. So I can set a date to schedule the update of this environment, and it will occur within the time frame defined in the update window settings for the environment. So we have just looked at the update window settings, and within that time, what time will I allow my environment to be updated. I can select, remember now, within the update window, when we have major updates, a major update on April, the first working day of April, that is when the major update starts, and the first working day of October. So from April, 5 calendar months from April, and that will be up to August. That's when now you are able to select the update window. And if I scroll to this date, you can see September is grayed out, because this is the grace period for the preview of the next version. Similar to May, if I was earlier, it will be grayed out in terms of being able to set an update. I can select whichever date. I'm like, okay, you update on Thursday, or maybe I don't want you to do it when I'm active, just do it on a Saturday or Sunday, 18th at night. And then I can schedule the update for me, for my environment. And there is an option to allow it to run outside the official hours. I can enable it for the sandbox, but ideally, no, I don't want to enable that. But you still have that ability to be able to enable that. So it's not rocket science in terms of being able to set an update window. You can be able to do that. You can copy an environment, and in the copying, so let me say production. So you can't copy a sandbox. You can copy a production to a production environment, but you can't copy a sandbox to a production environment. Like from a sandbox to a new production environment, you should be able to copy, because I see here, okay, that is restoration. It's not copying. Copying you're able to, as long as there is no production environment, you can start from a sandbox. But restoring is different, or is a bit confusing, the two. But you, so the new environment name that you need to copy to, you select it here, and you set the type, and then you click copy. Pretty easy. It's similar to copying companies, but now you are copying the environment. So you copying the environment, and restoring the environment, pretty straightforward as well. Restoring, you restore an environment up to 28 days from the date, the current date. So I can only go 4 weeks behind. So if it's 11th, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can only go 4 weeks behind in terms of being able to restore an environment. And also now I select the time that I'd like to restore. You can restore it as sandbox or whichever option. So what if it's a production environment? You already have one production environment in place, and there is a restriction to the number of production environment, which we looked at the introduction. So you can still be able to restore. You can have two production environments in the case of a restore. The only time that you can have two production environments is when you restore an environment, and it can last you up to 30 days. So you are allowed to restore and stay with it up to 30 days and confirm if there are any changes that you need to do, if there is something that you need to update in the new environment. If you have restored back, is it okay? Do you want to retain one? And within that period, you should actually come and delete the environment. And you can now maybe delete the old one, or you delete the old one and now rename the new one to that particular name that you had, that you really wanted to use. And you can still be able now to refresh the environment, and this is just pretty straightforward, most of the environment functionality. So in terms of environments, we have sort of covered most of the activities, and maybe save for environment transfers. So a feature used to transfer your environment to another Microsoft Entra tenant, and only internal administrators can transfer this particular environment. So if I'll explore this option more, and maybe the recently deleted environments, which is just pretty straightforward. If you've done a soft delete, you'll just see a recently deleted environment which you could be able to recover. For example, do I have space? This action will recover the environment and all of its data at the point in time when it was originally deleted. Recovering a deleted environment will impact the capacity of used, and it was a recently deleted one, and I needed to test something on one environment, and it's recovering the environment because I have a few days after being able to delete. And hard deletion was tagged for 20th April, and soft deletion happened in 6th April. So if we look at this day, this is like 14 days from the day of soft deletion. So it's around 15 days there, 14 days actually. But if you count the actual date, so it will be 15 days. You're given 15 days after a soft deletion, and I can recover the environment. So the administration center of Business Central really gives you the ability as an administrator to make sure that no data is lost, to make sure that uptime is there. Take time and look at even the things that I haven't mentioned. Go to the documentation, which I'll share links in the description, to go deeper into the update cycles of Microsoft to understand it much better. And even now, test a few things here and there. If you don't have a sandbox environment, if you using the sandbox environment, if you have an extra space for a sandbox, test, create a new sandbox, see what it's doing to you, see what updates can be done, and be able to thoroughly test it and get an understanding. Because when there is a crisis, or when you need to do an action real quick, that's not the time to learn, it's the time to act. So you should be ready, because an administrator is a key task for the organization. So that's it for the environments, or the part of the administration center that targets the environments in Business Central. I will see you in the next video of the series.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss the next one.